So this is Yin Yoga. Thanks for being here. The sound of Om, it begins within. It begins with the inhale. Taking in, listening as it moves out on the exhale. So with your eyes open or eyes closed, listening or chanting along, take a deep breath in. Inhaling, and then exhaling, opening your eyes if they're closed. So this is how we're going to go. It's Yin Yoga, super mellow. The holds are usually a little bit longer. And yeah, that's what we got. So when you're ready, come onto your hands and knees. Take your hands a little wider than your shoulders. The knees just a little wider than the hips, top of the feet on the floor. Gently grip the floor with the fingers. We're going to go cat-cow here. Inhale. Lift your chest. Exhale. Draw the belly in. Round it. So we're warming up the spine. Inhale. For cow. Exhale. For cat. 2 more. Just moving with the breath. Letting it flow. Just here tuning into those sensations in the spine, to the breath in the body. And then back to a neutral spine. Slide your knees back 3 to 4 inches. We'll go downward facing dog. Inhale, lift up, back. Keep a little grip with the fingers on the floor. Hands probably just a little bit wider than the shoulders. And then start to pedal the legs, just opening up the tissue on the backs of the legs. So for some of you, you've already had a full day. And then for some, we're just getting into it. So but opening up that tissue at the calves, hamstrings, pedaling the legs in down dog. So a lot of the poses will hold. Right now, we just get warmed up with some movement. And exhale, knees to the floor. We're going to go into panda. Inhale your left arm up. Exhale, twist. Come onto the left forearm or onto the shoulder. The top arm, you have choices. I'm going to keep a bend in the elbow, the fingertips on the floor. You might stretch the right arm out. You might take it around the back. Wherever you're at, tune into your breath. So how far you twist is not really important, but listening to when you meet the twist, to when you meet the tension, this becomes of the utmost importance. So a few breaths here. In panda pose. Noticing the effects of the inhale. And then softening any of the hard or gripping areas with the exhale. Inhale, rise up and out. And both hands back to neutral. Inhale, right arm up. Exhale, twist, panda. Right forearm or shoulder to the floor. Left hand, bent elbow, or straighten the arm out. You might even wrap the arm around the back to add a shoulder stretch. So here, being with the breath, noticing the effects of the inhale, And can you soften the effort on the exhale? So in yin yoga, we talk about the percentage of the stretch, like really anywhere from 5 to 50. So it's not aggressive. It's not always comfortable. Just meeting the sensation. In yin yoga, we're just slowing it down. Slowing down the need to, do the pose perfectly. Perfect is where you meet the stretch, where you tension the target area. Here we're just creating twist and spine, targeting the joints of the spine, and that tissue that runs up and down the spine. One more breath. And inhale up and out. And we'll come back into down dog one more time. Slide the knees back. Inhale, stretch it up and back. So you might hold your dog here, or you might start to pedal. You might go bent knees or straight legs. We're going to use this one to bring a little strength to the upper body, but stretch the lower body, especially the calves, hamstrings. 3 breaths, down dog. In and out through the nose. The hands press down lightly forward. The tops of the thighs draw back. Notice when you meet the stretch in the backs of the legs. On the exhales, can you soften into the pose? Let the bones be heavy on the earth. Feel the support of the earth. Inhale. Walk the feet up towards the hands. Bend the knees as deep as you need to. Touch the fingertips, floor. Block if necessary. Take the ribs onto the thighs. So we're looking, stretch again. We're in the backs of the legs, hamstrings. 3 breaths here, Uttanasana. So if it feels like, well, I need to keep my knees bent to stay safe, keep the knees bent. If you feel like you need to stay lifted up higher, stay lifted. Hands on block, floor, or even a chair. If there's somewhere in the pose that you feel like it feels safer if I tone it, then listen. Listen, what feels right for you right now? Last breath. Take it all the way to the sit bones. And as you exhale, can you soften the spine? Soften the tissue around the spine. Inhale, rise up to the top. Stretch the arms. Exhale, float the hands down. Samastitihi. Release the hands. Inhale, take the left arm up, right hand on the hip. Shift the hips to the left, crescent to the right. So we're going to be here for about 5 breaths. So just go to the place where you meet the tension and you don't have to work so hard to hold the pose. This is crescent pose. So we're tensioning the obliques. If it feels like too much, back out. Reach the left foot down. Reach the left arm up. You can look down or look up. Just find your breath. Inhale, rise. And exhale, release. Inhale, right arm up. Shift the hips to the right. So again, you're tensioning this tissue, 0 to like 50%. The muscles are going to work to help hold you here. This is where you meet the stretch. The tissue's tensioning to keep you from going too far. Meet the tension. And when we meet the tension, we can expand. Reach down through the right foot, stretch the right arm. So you're not chasing, like thinking I have to get to a certain point in the crescent to make it a crescent. Even if you're just going a few inches and you feel the stretch, you got the pose, you're doing it right. Inhale, rise. Exhale, release the arm. So back towards our forward fold. Take your hips back, belly touch the thighs. That's our little standing pose sequence for now. And bow in. Inhale, part way up, lengthen your spine. Exhale, step your left leg back, knee to the floor. So some of you might be up on blocks or even a chair. We're going to shift the hips back, straighten the front leg for half Hanuman. We're getting the tension again. We're at hamstrings again. It's the third one. I want you to really listen. Listen to the amount of tension that feels appropriate. It doesn't need to feel super intense. Right now I'm at about 50% stretch. You might even play with, what if I turn the foot in, turn the foot out? I want you to try to avoid a lot of strain behind the knee or tension behind the knee. These are the hamstring attachments. See if you can't place it somewhere along the thicker band of muscle. On the exhales, can you soften the effort? Be with the discomfort. Slide your right heel back, bend the knee. Now we're going both hands inside the left leg. I'm going to use a block for this one. Feel free to turn, that's your right leg. Feel free to turn your right leg out, the toes out. And then we're going to inhale and exhale down inside the front leg. You might come onto your forearms or the floor. Feel free to slide your left knee back. So now the stretch for me, I feel it in the hip flexor on the back leg. I feel it on the hamstrings, and the inner thigh of the front leg. So we're here for just about 2 minutes. So don't overdo it. If you're already at 50 or 70% tension, back off a little bit. And find your breath. You're listening within. Shifting, adjusting the pose as it feels right to you, safe to you, and clear to you. So we're halfway there. Some of you might be down on the floor, some even with your forearms up on a chair or on your fingertips. Or you might be working where I am on a block with the forearms. So in yin, this would be sort of a form of dragon pose. It targets hip flexors, but I tend to feel it a lot in my front leg too. So I feel it in the back leg, but also front leg. So one more deep inhale. Exhale, soften. We're going to take it to down dog. Inhale, rise up. We'll slowly transition. Take the right leg back. Find your down dog. In down dog, Just for about 30 seconds here, noticing any difference between sides. Really listening to the sensations, noticing even the flow of energy or prana in the leg. One more deep breath in. And on the exhale, really soften, let the bones get heavy. Down to hands and knees. Left leg forward. Then we're going to shift it back to that Hanuman, half Hanuman. Stretching or tensioning the tissue on the back of the left leg. If you need to, be up on a block or 2 blocks, or be up on a chair if you already feel the stretch. If you're going down low and you only have the floor, bend your knee if necessary. So remember, 5 to 50% stretch. We're keeping this sustained for about a minute, minute and a half. Sustained tension on the hamstrings. So with that, just enough. Every little shift of the thigh bone, whether it turns in, turns out, position your foot, whether your toes pull towards your knee or you point your toes more, will change the stretch. And whether you bow forward or you lift more upright. So everything we do within the pelvis, the thigh bone, the femur, or the spine, or the foot, will either increase, decrease, or change the tension in the back of the leg. Inhale, take it forward. Both hands inside the left leg. And then you could either be up on a block with the forearms, or you might be down on the floor. Slide the right knee back, and you start to feel the tension in the back of the right thigh. If you need to, you can come up higher. Sorry. So just about 2 minutes here. Dragon. If it feels too much in your back thigh, you can always lift your hips higher or lower. So pelvis influencing that stretch. So we're halfway there. As you're exhaling, notice if there's anywhere that's gripping, that's unnecessary to grip right now. Around the jaw, the throat, the eyes. And things change sometimes. Like, I felt like I could lose the block for the last 30 seconds. But it really requires that inner listening. What's the sensation? What's my mind saying about where I'm at? Where's the breath? This inner conversation. Take one more full inhale. Exhale, soften. Inhale, rise up. And that's a down dog. Stretch it out. And then here, feel free to hold a dog or pedal it. This is our last down dog of the morning, unless you choose to do one at some other point. So just opening that up. We got maybe one more as I go through the sequence in my head. Inhale fully here. And exhale, soften. Like let the bones get heavy. If you feel like there's too much weight in the hands, bend your knees slightly. Lengthen the hips back. One more breath. And then all the way down to the knees. Come on to your back. So all the way to your back, and we're going to take a twist. Arms out wide. Shift your hips to the right, knees bent, feet on the floor, and then drop both legs over to your left. 3 minutes. Now if you feel like, oh, that's too long for my low back to twist, you can prop your legs as high as you want. There's different ways to twist here. You can go more with the spine here, with that shift of the hips to the right, legs to the left. We're probably going to be in a little bit more of extension, almost like back bend through the low mid back. If your knees pull up, then you might go more towards neutral spine. If your knees keep pulling up further, you're going to go more towards flexion, almost like a forward bend with a twist. You can explore that range, but again, be within that 0 to 50% stretch. So this will create compression around the spinal joints. And for some, you might even feel like a stretch on the right side, through the obliques, transverse. You might even take it all the way into the hip. So we're halfway there. On the exhale, notice if you're gripping. Like I realized I was trying to pull my right leg onto my left. And on the exhale, I just let it float back up a little bit. So no matter how far your legs go or your upper body twist, really the goal is to tune in inside, to create a little compression through the spine with some space so that we can breathe. Take a couple more breaths here. On the exhale, soften. Notice how the joints sort of fall into place. The bones just start to move where they feel right. Can you find those spots that you've been holding tension that right now are unnecessary? And then back to center. Pause for a second. Just let the hips reset. And then stretch the legs out. And we're going to do 1 minute. This is called a rebound. So we're just resting back, noticing the effects of the pose. Here's where this inner listening comes in. So we listen, take action. Then we come back to listen. So here we just take this 1 minute to listen. What's the energy? What's the feeling, the sensation? So we take these rebounds between poses just to recalibrate, reset, recommit, to really tuning within. Take a deep breath in and just let it out. Let the bones get heavy. Second side. Bend your knees and twist it. Hips to the left, knees to the right. 3 minutes. Again, use whatever prop you need. Like for me, this side is more intense through the spine, also the low back, the obliques. So I tend to lift the knees up a little bit. I'm going to use a block under the outer right leg. And I might lose it at some point in the pose. But right now I feel like it's the support I need. And remember, your knees might be further away, creating a little bit more extension in the spine or back bend. Your knees might be more towards neutral, coming more towards neutral spine with a twist. Or your knees might come up a little bit higher than 90 at the pelvis, or between the thigh bones and the femur, or between the femurs and the pelvis. And then you're thinking they're going a little bit more into forward fold. So 50%, that's max. Notice the effects of the inhale. And can you release into the body on the exhale? Just resting in. So more than halfway there. Yeah, I'm sorry if there's background noise today. I apologize. The trucks just went on next door. I'm not sure what's going down. You might not even hear it. So if not, if you do, shut off the volume. Because once you're in a pose, you don't need to hear me. You just go within with whatever music you're playing or whatever feelings you're having, just allowing the pose to take you in. Take a deep breath and all the way out. One more breath in. Exhale, soften. And then we'll take it back to center. Slowly transitioning back to center. Rebounding, stretching your legs out. 1 minute. Just let the pelvis, sacrum, thighs reset. And noticing any sensations you're having here. So we're listening to the tissue. Listening to the resistance. Listening to the flow of chi or prana in the body. Letting go where you can. Challenging the rough edges to soften. Taking a deep breath in and all the way out. Really emphasize this exhale. One more breath in. Emphasize the feelings of the exhale. As you exhale, can you feel some release through the muscle, the tissue, the bones? And then bending your knees. Roll to your right or left. And come up to seated. Okay. We're going to go seated forward fold. So you have option. The left leg comes in to the right inner thigh. So you're going to go like half butterfly. Or take the left leg over the top of the right. So this might go a little more into glute, hips, but it might also change sensation in the back of the right leg because of that weight on top. So we go 3 minutes here. Now if you're here and you just lean forward slightly and you already feel something, be there. Otherwise, you might go for the foot or somewhere in between. So wherever you're at, it's about the sensation of the pose. It's not about some finished place or where you need to be. Just be where you're at today. Listen to it. Be with some of the discomfort. Explore it. If it feels like too much, back out a little bit. If you want more, go a little bit deeper in. But can you still breathe? Stay with your breath. 3 minutes, the clock is rolling. 3 minutes, nowhere to go. But right here into this pose. If there's a prop that you feel like you need to support and keep you safe, use that prop. If there's some shift in the upper body, shift. If it becomes too much with the leg and shoelace over top, take it out to a butterfly. So what I'm saying is really just listen to yourself, listen to your body. Listen to the sensations. Five to 50% stretch. I can't emphasize it enough. And if you practice in like this and you listen to your body, listen if there's any asking for prop or shifts, you can keep this practice really safe. If I start to think the goal is to lay down on my front thigh and hold my foot, now we're in a different realm. But here I'm just asking you, just tension that tissue lightly. For many, it's going to be in the hamstring. For some, you might feel it even in the left glute. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, soften. That's it. Inhale, rise up. Side one. Come down onto your back. We're going to take a 1 minute rebound. Release the legs. We're going to go 1 minute rebound just to explore the sensations of that one. Just notice what you feel. What's the difference between the right side of your body and the left side of your body? What's the difference in the sensation between the right and left side? From your feet, maybe all the way up to your hips, maybe to the crown of your head. Maybe even through the arms, shoulders. Letting the inhales go deep, so you feel it in the belly. Letting the exhales move freely so we can soften. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. And then come up to seated. Bend your knees, roll to your side, or rock up. Stretch your legs out. Second side. Right leg in, half butterfly, or cross it over. A shoelace. Then we go 3 minutes here. Now, if you already feel it, you might stay here, even just lean forward a little bit. If you haven't, you might have a bolster, even a chair, whatever you got for support. You might be holding your foot or somewhere in between. Anything you do with your hips, whether you take your sit bones back or take them under more, whether you lean to your left or lean to your right, go forward or go back, will probably influence the tension in the tissue. Notice where and when you meet the tension and keep it 5 to 50% effort sensation. So remember, we're holding 3 minutes. So you might stay with the sensation of the pose to keep you anchored. You might stay with the breath to keep you anchored. So when I say anchored, I mean just being in your body. So like, can you stay present with yourself, even in the discomfort? And the breath helps to feed the prana in the body. Almost there. And your exhales will soften. Inhale, rise up. And exhale, 1 minute, rebound. Stretch the legs out. It's nice. It's like a little nap between each pose. Not all of them today, but many of them. So you can do rebounds between each pose, each pose. You can do rebounds between each side. You can do rebound after a series of poses. But it's just some moments in the practice to feel the effects of the posture, the practice, or series of postures. Noticing the sensations through the tissue, noticing the more subtle movements, we call it chi or prana, through the legs, the belly. Take a breath in all the way to the belly button. And then exhale. As you exhale, let the muscles release, the bones get heavy. The shoulders. And then bend your knees, roll to your left or right, or you can rock up to seated. Frog pose. Nemesis. This is a big one for me. So here's how it goes. I'm going to do it in the middle of the room. You can do this one at the wall, and I'm going to show it first. And you can just go legs up the wall, bend the knees, feet wide. Here we're targeting the adductor muscles. I'm going to go center of the room, 2 minutes. Here, same form, but now gravity is assisting. Feet turn out, knees open. Come down onto your forearms. This could be a big one for you. So, if it's too big, use the wall. We're going 2 minutes here. Frog pose. Again, the shifting of the pelvis, whether it goes back or forward, will influence the pose. To the left or to the right will influence the pose. I want you to think anywhere from 5 to 50%. It might get a little more intense. Let's see what happens. Now, if you're in it with the support of gravity in frog and it feels like too much, by all means, come out. Go to the wall. Two minutes here. You know, we're almost working adductors, almost like splits here. So if you feel like, whoa, it's too much, you might bring your knees closer together. You might shift your hips forward more. You might shift your hips back more, depending on what you're looking for here. You'll be happy to know you only have 30 seconds left. I don't know, maybe you could be here longer, but I'm happy to know it. So I like to balance my yin practice with yang practices throughout the week and working out, whether I'm surfing or, I almost said hitting the weights. 10 seconds to go. Take a breath in all the way to your sit bones. Exhale. Can you find some ease even in the discomfort? One more inhale. And exhale. Come on out. You can shift right onto your belly if you like and take a rebound on your belly. Or you might take your legs up the wall if you're at the wall. We're going to just go 30 seconds to recover from frog. 2 minutes in, 30 seconds, recover. Just noticing the sensation and finding your breath. Inhale. All the way in here, it's nice. If you're on your belly, you get that fullness of the back. And exhale, heavy bones. And slowly come out. All right, so we're going to the wall. We got enough time to go to the wall. So you might use a blanket or fold your mat up. I'm going to use a blanket. And we're going to take the blanket to the wall because we're going to do a quad stretch at the wall. So blanket, wall, come onto your hands and knees, feet, toes at the wall. So you're back in that kind of cat-cow position. Slide your left leg up the wall, the foot goes up the wall. Now you might already get a stretch here, stay here, or step like a lunge, the right foot out in front of you. You might keep your fingertips on the floor because you're already feeling a stretch in the left quad, or you might rise up onto the thigh. So you're looking to tension the tissue of the back quadricep or thigh muscle, front of the thigh. Oh, we should start the clock. We're going 2 minutes here. 2 minutes quad stretch. Now, if the wall's not working for you and you have another pose that stretches your quad, by all means, because if we're in the same target area, this is what we're more focused on than, oh, are we all doing the same exact pose? Again, the position of your spine and your pelvis will influence the quad, the tension in the quad. If you lift up more, you probably feel it more. If you take your tailbone down, you're probably going to feel it more. So the shift of the pelvis is one of the most powerful adjustments for any yoga pose. What's the position of the pelvis? I'm actually leaning forward, but taking the tailbone down to tension the tissue in the back of the thigh. In the back thigh, quadriceps. So halfway there. And this is where our last down dog is going to come in. Remember, 5 to 50%. It doesn't mean it's going to be comfortable, but we don't want to over tension, especially as we're holding. We don't want to over tension the tissue, over stretch. One more full breath in. Exhale, can you soften it? Inhale. And exhale out. Now take down dog. This is where our last down dog comes in. I want you to take down dog so you can feel the effects of the pose. We're not going to go, this is our rebound. So you can do a rebound on your belly, on your back, on your side. Here we're doing it in down dog. And I just want you to notice, just tune in to the tissue from the left to the right side after stretching the thigh. What does it feel like? Is there a difference from left to right? My left thigh is way tighter, so now they feel equal. Here we go. Right leg up the wall. So you start hands, knees, toes against the wall, just like we're doing cat-cow. Right foot, point it, take it up, slide the right knee towards the wall. Some of you might already get a stretch here. Take the left foot forward, you might get a stretch here, or rise up. The side's way more open for me. So here, 2 minutes. The clock is going. And again, anything you do with the position of your pelvis, whether you tuck it under or take your sit bones back, and the position of your spine, whether you stay forward or rise up, will have an effect, influence on the amount of tension in your quadricep tissue. We're thinking 5 to 50%. So it doesn't have to be super intense. Remember, it's your pose, so if there's some shift, some movement, the one place I don't want you to feel it, avoid this place, we'll call it a red flag, would be in the inner knee, or even intense on the outer knee, where the femur bone, your thigh bone, and the lower leg bone meet. You don't want to feel it within the joint. This is the area of the meniscus. Just about there. I was a little fidgety in this one. Let's settle in for the next 20 seconds. I was trying to find the tension on this side. It's not much. The left side is so intense for me. One more inhale. Exhale, soften it. Inhale. And exhale. Down dog. Clear it out. Stretch it out. Free it up. This is our last down dog. Walk your feet up to your hands. Bend your knees as much as you need to. Uttanasana. 2 breaths. Legs are bent or knees are bent or legs are straight. Lower down. Take a seat. That's it. We're going to do last pose at the wall. Take your hips onto the blanket. So we're coming eye of the needle at the wall. Coming up against the wall. And you're going to cross your right ankle over your left thigh. 2 minutes. Maybe a little longer. We'll see what we got here. But 2 minutes, just about 2 minutes, we're working the right glute. Now again, the distance your hips are from the wall will influence the amount of stretch or tension in the right glute. Whether your knee moves away from you or your hips shift to the left or right. Whether your pelvis tucks under more or you keep more of a neutral spine. So explore for yourself. Listen. Notice when you meet the tension. Be with it. Don't try to push through it. Just be with it. You might anchor yourself to the sensation to keep yourself present. You might anchor yourself to the breath. I like to anchor myself oftentimes to the exhale, to just settle in more. Letting the exhale soften my mind, soften the efforts, so I can see clear. It's the same if I'm in the pool, I'll go in the pool to do breath holds for surfing. I'll work a lot of exhaling. Like oftentimes there's a lot of hyperventilating to help hold the breath, but also I'll make sure I really work exhales to calm the nervous system so I don't panic when I go under. So it's the same in the pose. If it's too intense, we can go into fight or flight. Oh, I got to get out of this one, or I'm going to have to fight my way into this tissue in the hip. But here I want us to try to settle more into that parasympathetic, that area where we can relax, the bones get heavy, the muscles release, we have better vision on where we're heading, better clarity. There's times where we just have to react quick, respond. But also there's times where we can settle in, really make clear choices, relax, digest, and inhale fully. And exhale, soften. And then when you're ready, come on out. Last pose. Last side. Cross your left ankle over your right thigh. Again, the distance away from the wall and any turn or twist in the pelvis will create an effect, either increase or decrease sensation in the hip. And you got 2 minutes. And then we'll take a final rebound. And that's yin. So I had some friends like cruising through. They're like, dude, I don't know. It looked like your video was on pause. I was like, no, we were doing yin. We were holding the pose for like 3 minutes. So once in a while I'll move a little bit so that people cruising through know that this is actually happening. It's live. So feel free to adjust. You're looking to tension the tissue of that left glute. Really listening. So if you find a place and you're like, oh, right there, you hold it. And then if you notice that tension dissipates or totally goes away, you might change the pose a little bit. So this left side, it's hard for me to find a stretch here. Where the quadricep on my left side, it's really easy, it's really tight. So I tell you this not because it's important for you to know my body, but important to know your body. Know that there's going to be differences. And it's also okay, those differences. Some of those places where we feel tighter are keeping us safe, stable. Some of those places where we're tighter can be creating some trouble or take a deep breath in. Let it out. One more breath. And that's it. Final rebound. You can go legs up the wall for 1 minute, or you might come all the way onto your back and rest in like a rebound, like Shavasana, or final rest pose. So 1 minute here. One minute, just listening to the inner sensation.